Welcome to Real Talk, inside the business of entertainment, where we talk about the current state and future of the entertainment industry with the people who power it. I'm Anne Kennedy McGuire, an entertainment partner at Loeb and Loeb. Today, I'm excited to speak with Heidi Kane Friedman, founder and CEO of HCF Strategies, about the state of unscripted production.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here today. Thank you, Anne, for having me. HCF Strategies is a full service business and entertainment consulting company where I help them navigate the day-to-days of structuring their businesses, making content, and being as profitable as they can be while putting the money into their content and onto the screen. The company is 18 years old, and it started based upon the fact that I wanted to service more than one entity at a time. I came up through the ranks as an entertainment executive in production and finance and decided that more than one company needed help. Hence, HCF Strategies was created.
And now you're helping many, many production companies. So, our first question is always the same. It's what's our hot take on a topic that's getting a lot of buzz in the entertainment industry right now? In our world, I feel like the hot topic is that the Real Screen Summit is no more, and Real Screen is only focusing on their magazines.
It is definitely the end of an era, and not shockingly, with such a competitive and flooded marketplace internationally, as well as domestically, there are so many people competing for executives' time, and to network is extremely important. And people are definitely going to London and Budapest and France and Portugal and to a variety of places to congregate. I think that the final straw of putting Real Screen and NatP together was a great idea to try and diversify and grow the brand. It didn't seem to work, apparently, because they've made the difficult decision to not participate in US markets.
That's actually a really good lead into our first topic, which is the current state of unscripted production right now. I think you hit on a lot of it, the consolidation, the international. What are you seeing, since I know you work with many, many different production companies at different stages of their growth and development? What are you seeing in the market right now?
I'm seeing extremely concerned people, people that are getting out, people that are hanging on, the same people who stay in the stock market and ride the wave. It's just another form of a wave with the advent of verticals, which is really not a new thing. It's a new name for shorter content. I believe that when you look at what's up and coming and what's changing is any traditional model, except for the hit shows. If you can find a hit show like Lightning in a Bottle, 90 Day Fiancé franchise, as an example, or any type of dating show right now, Age of Attraction is doing really well and just got picked up on Netflix. Those types of things that are light, that people can just tune in and tune out and not have to watch a whole slate of things. People are feeding content for shorter attention spans. Not a new thing. I mean, TikTok's been doing it for a long, long time. And there are other people that have tried to do it successfully and unsuccessfully. Darman very successfully. The Beast franchise extremely successfully. Then there was Quibi 6 years ago, which the idea was 10-minute content and it didn't work, which is not really understandable because now people are watching similar content on their phones. The state of unscripted is obviously in flux. I'm not telling the audience anything they don't already know, which means it's kind of like the Wild West. Feel free to bring your ideas and throw them up against the wall and see if they stick. And don't discount any idea, no matter how silly it seems, because it could be the next big thing.
Absolutely. I think that's right. We're in uncharted territory right now. And I've seen, and I don't know if you've seen this with the production companies that you're working with, but I've seen a lot of our traditional production companies, like you said, throwing out traditional models and going to YouTube or trying to do even Instagram programming, very short form to your point, but trying to make that move to YouTube. And I think some of our traditional production companies struggle with that versus, like a Mr. Beast that started that way and is very native to the YouTube environment. Are you seeing that? And if so, how are you working with your clients on that kind of a transition if they're looking to do that?
First, the most important thing is to work with clients who have an open mind. Usually, clients do because they're creators. And to be a creator of any kind, you have to have an open mind, trying to be ahead of the curve and predict what someone might want before they really know what they want. I believe still that expansive slates are key, and that the more research you do and the more current stories that you have to tell, the better off you are. There is an occasional story that will come up that's, let's say, in true crime from 28 years ago and it went cold and they're trying to bring it back. Those types of things that will be told in a three-parter bought by Netflix or by Versant or ID. Those are still saleable. But the rest of it, when you look at it, it's all new. If you look at the success as an example of my friend Michael Levitt's show, Balin Out Loud, that was risk taking. And TLC took that risk and it has paid off.
That's a great example, Heidi. Another question I was thinking of that we hit on a little bit, but not directly, is the consolidation. You brought up first, and certainly we're all seeing Paramount Warner Brothers potential merger on the horizon. Who actually benefits from that kind of consolidation? Are our producers going to benefit from it? Are the consumers going to benefit from it? How do you see that playing out in our world?
Like anything, when you look at the Paramount Skydance of it all as an example, one could compare that to the Scripts Discovery Warner Brothers model as far as when those mergers and sales happened. It took quite a bit of time for those companies to figure out how they were going to structure everything and what they were going to keep and what they needed to offload. So there's always a 1 to 2 year transition period with a lot of uncertainty, which makes it really hard for the production companies to know who they're pitching, what they're pitching, and what they're doing. So, what I'm saying to my clients is stay your course. Pitch what you believe in, pitch what you can stand behind, and be open minded about what the budget is and how to do it differently. Because you're going to have to hit a number. There's no question. In this day and age, the numbers will not be what they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So, in crafting the show, you really need to figure out how you can do it for their price point and really know what their price points are.
Are you seeing a lot of different approaches too? I mean, I've been seeing more partnerships between foreign production companies and domestic production companies. Even a trend that I've been seeing is networks and other distributors are much more willing to do co-ownership and co-production for the last, I'd say, 5 or 10 years. And they're willing to only have US rights or only have US premiere rights and allow the production companies to keep those foreign rights and to make deals with foreign entities for those sorts of rights. Have you been seeing more of that? And what other kinds of trends have you been seeing to sort of bridge the gap on those budgets?
It's really challenging. Partnerships are amazing, and there are some incredible partnerships that haven't been announced yet, which are really, really interesting. Global partnership with a production company in a certain country or state. Those are great. if you can figure out a way to make the money work. Or conversely, if it's keeping your company alive when your company's in transition. That said, they're still few and far between when you really look at them. They're really happening between really successful entities and up and coming production companies that just sold something and that are really on the boards and that have been eyed for a while. I think that the way to build is to build your own company and then figure out what piece of your company will have value in some type of strategic and symbiotic relationship and go out there with that piece and try and partner with someone. So what I mean by that is if you're going to build a fast channel and you have a lot of content that you can use that's usable content that to share, you build the fast channel or you build the YouTube channel and that gains traction and then you utilize that traction to make a strategic deal with a bigger company and get a big piece of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Similarly, I know that you work with a lot of companies, whether UK or Canada or in other countries that are looking at the US market, and some are selling into the US market. What does that look like for them? And I know you're invaluable to them in making those transitions, but what does your work with them look like?
It's very interesting, my work with those companies. They are able to do things less expensively because they have different models than we have set up here in the United States with fewer layers of people. They are extremely efficient. And the people in those companies that have been there for usually many years wear multiple hats and are used to that. So it's not like in the United States where you have to transition 3 people out of a company and tell someone else that they're taking on part of their responsibilities and then it's a problem. There overseas, they're just like dig in, nose to the grindstone. So it's just a different way of looking at it. I was the production executive that worked on Who Do You Think You Are, the British format, when they brought it to the United States and put it on NBC. It was fascinating to me, the difference between the amount of people that the United States to make it happen and fewer amount of people working on the show in the UK. So it's about the efficiencies and a different structure to get the show done. When I look at some of the other global trends, and it's specifically in my work, when my clients are pitching in the United States, they are very, very open to whatever the buyers say. You know, if the buyer says, here's what I want this to be an AI piece to the show. They're like, no problem. We'll figure it out. And I think that in the United States, it's also very important for people to just throw away their old models, even if the show's in its 4th season, 3rd season, whatever it is, and look at it and say, um, no problem. I shot the Recreon cameras for the past 3 years, but I'll do something different. I am advising them to make great content for the budgets that each buyer has. And that is the biggest challenge right now. The difference between someone overseas or up north in Canada and some of the production companies here is that they are used to working under uh, constraints and used to the challenges of making content for less and still putting it on the screen. In that regard, I believe that my clients have a really great chance at selling their projects in the United States, and that's proven by the fact that they are selling here and doing very well here. because they can take a budget and conform to that budget while still delivering quality content and exactly what they pitched. So, my advice to them is always to really be good listeners and to hear what the client is telling them and what the creative is telling them about the benchmarks that need to be hit in order for these deals to go through. And as you know, Anne, from your end, because you're making those deals, it is very challenging. And they really do want to know that the budget is going to hit the number, but they want the show that they want. I think that my clients are very open to the ever changing wave of what's next. And so diversity in what they're developing is really, really, really important, as is looking at the international marketplace and owning their IP. IP is king. Strategic partnerships with people that have their own IP, that join them, content creators that have brand deals and that want more visibility or want to do something different, who will participate with them and participate significantly in rev sharing with the company, because what they bring is extremely valuable. They bring their eyeballs, the content creators, and you know how valuable those eyeballs are. As far as overseas goes, MIT has never been busier. People mining and looking for different ways to work together, who you'd never think in a million years would work together, but you see them sitting at the table together trying to figure it out. Someone who has a really large library with someone who can make content quickly and get it out there in the marketplace. People that are looking to bring their ideas overseas first and produce them and then bring them back to the United States. It used to be that you just mine for what already exists overseas. Now you're trying to make something overseas and then have it have a modicum of success to bring it back. It's a very interesting marketplace, and it's a marketplace that's forgiving. And what I mean by that is that you can try things. And if those things don't work, you can change to something else. It used to be called a failure. Now it's just called an experiment.
I know that you have a very unique set of skills and you work with many different production companies in many different ways, but what exactly are you doing now to help unscripted production companies thrive in this environment when more creativity is needed and certainly more flexibility, as you said, is always required?
It's really about having a wide network and looking at the marketplace in a different way as to what's happening now and where it's going and how they can continue to fit in that marketplace and be a player in that sandbox. The companies that survive and thrive in the business going forward are the ones that recognize that they can use as much strategy as possible to navigate the day-to-days of this ever-changing world. I'm on the team, and part of what I do is sharing insight into what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and how it's going to affect independent, medium-sized, and larger companies going forward. Some of the things that we discuss are creative strategies, business and organizational structure, looking at their setups and saying, I now need to change my operation a little bit to accommodate looking at the world and working globally, looking for formats, international co-pros, and to form symbiotic relationships. And overall, comfort of knowing that there's someone there that definitely knows how to navigate the financial and budgeting piece and challenges that come along with that as you go to sell something, make something, and deliver it successfully.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Heidi. That's a wrap on this episode of Real Talk inside the business of entertainment. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll be back soon with more behind the scenes insights and candid conversations with the people shaping the industry. Until next time, thanks for listening.